So now that we've updated the IAM role that we created in order for Snowflake to access S3 bucket, let's move on to the next steps. First of all, I would like you guys to switch to the role sysadmin and create a new schema that we'll use for development purposes. Okay, so I'm gonna use database e-commerce DB and create schema e-commerce underscore dev. All right, so let's refresh this. Now I want you guys to create an empty line item table because we're going to ingest the data that I hope you guys have uploaded in the exact same fashion. So we're going to upload or ingest data from line item underscore CSV folder into the empty table line item that we will create now. Okay. So I want to say create or replace table line item cluster by. Just make sure you use the exact same clustering key, which is L underscore ship date. I'm creating this table as select star from the line item table limit 1. Okay, let's create this table. Okay, so now the table has been created, as you can see, but this has one row in it, so I'm just gonna say truncate table line item. So we have the empty table. Now let me go back to the code editor and copy a couple of commands from here. So we have the empty table. Now it's time to ingest the data into this table. But before we do that, the first thing that we need to do is create a file format. Now a file format is basically a set of rules which has a name that tells Snowflake what is the file format that is being ingested into the table. Now once we create this file format, we will use this name. We will refer to this file format at the time of creating the stage object. Okay, so let's go ahead and create this format. It's a pretty simple SQL statement which has a bunch of parameters. You have to say the type of file format is CSV, compression is auto, meaning auto detect. What is the field delimiter? What is the record delimiter? Skip headers 1, so on and so forth. It's pretty simple. So, and I'm going to call it CSV underscore load underscore format. So let's create this. So the file format has been created. Now let's scroll down. Now it's time to create the stage environment, the stage object. Okay. Typically, every table has its own stage that refers to a specific location in S3. Okay. And this says select create stage and the name of the stage object. Now I follow certain naming conventions. My stages start with stg underscore table name underscore file format and what is the environment. In this case, it's a development environment. Okay. Storage integration is the one that we created earlier. It's AWS underscore SF underscore data. And what is the URL? Okay, let's go back. Now we're going to ingest the data from line item underscore CSV, all of this into the line item table. Okay, so I'm going to say copy and paste it here. Now this stage refers to this location in S3. All right, everything inside of this folder, line item underscore S3, will be ingested into the table. And finally, the file format. This is the format that we created above, which is CSV underscore load underscore format. Actually, this is, you need to create a file format only if you have special conditions to handle your data inside the CSV format or JSON or whatever file format you're dealing with. You can also say format is equal to CSV. This works as well, considering your CSV is clean and you do not have to worry about skipping the headers or trim spaces or delimiters, so on and so forth. but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use the file format that we created. So let's execute this. So the stage object has been created. Now it's time to list the content inside of this stage object. So I'm just going to say list at the rate and the name of the stage object. So this command shows you all of the files, the content of the stage object, meaning everything that this stage refers to. You can see it has 73 files as in the S3 location, and it'll tell you the size of the file, what is the hash, and what was the last modified. So everything looks good. Now it's time to ingest the data, which is done using this simple command. And the command is simple. It says copy into table name from the name of the stage object prefixed by @ what is the file format, and finally you say on error about statement. Actually the file format is not needed here because we've already mentioned it while creating the stage object, so this should be good enough. So I'm just saying copy into table name from staging and on error about the statement. Now on error basically means if even one of the files that you can see here does not load, Snowflake will stop the execution. Okay, now there are different options that you can give. Now I'd like you guys to go through the copy into table documentation of Snowflake, click on CSV and just go over it. It explains all the parameters in detail, but if you say you just copy on error, you can see the different possible options: on error, continue, skip the file that is throwing the error, or you can abort the statement. Continue means it'll basically skip that file and continue anyway. Okay, skip file does pretty much the same. It just skips it and goes on. Abort statement will abort the execution. So I've used the abort statement value. So let's run this command. Now I've ran it in an extra small cluster and it took 4.3 seconds, which is not bad. Now it gives you a summary of each and every file that has been ingested. You can see all the 73 files were ingested because the status is loaded. It tells you how many rows were loaded. So if literally everything was loaded successfully, the number of rows passed and the number of rows loaded will be exactly the same. Okay, so that's how you ingest the CSV data into your table. Let's quickly do a check. Select count of 1 from line item. It has almost 1 million rows, so everything looks good. Just do a select star and limit in. So everything looks good. Next up, we'll be ingesting JSON and Parquet data into the line item table. I'll see you guys there.